Hey guys, I'm sitting, and this is not episode 19. Ash was away, and John was unavailable, and so we're doing a Q&A, which hopefully you heard about before this video suddenly showed up. But if not, sorry, come join us on Discord. So they're away, and we're kind of heading into a big deal. So instead, we're gonna do a Q&A. And hopefully that doesn't seem too kind of
navel-gazy and
self-important. Yeah. So we're hanging down. I'm actually sitting, and we're gonna sit here. We're gonna relax. I got some tea. I got some popcorn, and we're gonna go through some questions that were provided to us on Discord by our folks. If you're on YouTube, hey, you can follow along as I scroll through. I don't know how well you'll be able to see, but I mean, it looks readable for me. And if you're on podcast, well, you'll just have to listen to us say the question out loud. Anyways, so yeah, we're gonna do this for a little bit and hang out and kill some time and kind of hang out with you. Next time we do this, we might try and do it live. Maybe even like on Twitch or something like that. Right? Yeah. No. The Craig has the right face. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I have streamed before. I'm okay with that, and just answering questions is okay. But at least this time around, we've had some chance to look at these questions. That's a lie. I haven't looked at these questions at all, so I'm super excited to see what we actually have. So also this hair thing is driving me nuts. So. Cool. So we're going to just start firing off some questions. Oh, though first, I mentioned this a moment ago to them, and I'm going to mention it to you guys. Episode 18, all those ritual casts, I totally screwed up the rules on yantras for ritual casts. You should not be able to include as many yantras as you want. When they're referencing that in the book, they just mean, hey, it's a ritual cast, so you have all the time you want to use as many yantras. You're still limited by your gnosis, therefore... most of the group should only been using 2 yantras, and Weird this year can use 3. Oops. So they got us some really cool high-powered spells that they probably shouldn't have been able to, but it's okay because this alpha wolf is going to kill them anyways, so whatever. So starting us off, it's a kind of out-of-character question, but related to the game. How did you come up with your Spotify playlists? I didn't make one, so...
Yeah, kind of randomly, which is fitting for Weird. I was just looking for things in the Celtic theme and time and fate and that kind of stuff. So pulled up some suggestions, and that led me to other suggestions, and I sort of built the list organically from that. There wasn't a big overarching plan or anything. I was just kind of poking around and finding stuff I liked that seemed to fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know that Songbird himself is a big metal fan, so this is kind of like not just a playlist about him, but like probably part of his playlist.
Sure.
And so I was going for a lot of just European metal, and then some old classics, and then I started just throwing anything with like as far as like particular songs to pick, a lot of things that kind of fit with the Obrimos path, or with like kind of his personality. So you got One Man Army from Encifrum, and Crack the Sky from the new Amon Amarth album, which is
which
amazing.
I still haven't listened to.
It's so fucking good.
Normally not a huge fan of them, but I enjoyed them in doses.
They're wonderful. And I always like to throw in Arch Enemy when I can, because female fronted death metal is fucking awesome
and super rare. The proverbial unicorn of metal. So cool.
Yep.
Scroll on. What was the inspiration for the characters? I mean, for storyteller characters, I have the advantage of going, this is a cool character. I don't have to level them up, and I can just decide that this is what this character is. And hey, and so yeah, like for me, one of my favorite characters is Rebecca, and you guys haven't seen like even the first part of what she can do in her backstory, so I'm very excited. I'm glad that at least Ash and Gabe, Travis and Gabe are going to be hanging out with the guys, so hopefully we'll see more from Rebecca. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this on the Discord a little bit before, but always happy to talk about myself and my characters because I'm kind of self-indulgent like that. I don't know. But Songbird was originally supposed to be a female, and we decided that two big bearded dudes playing women was, I don't know, whatever. So I kind of was like, all right, that's fine. I'll kind of rework. And so I kept a lot of the same kind of character traits and inspiration. You know, I was originally going to pull like some Ronda Rousey and some like Becky Lynch from WWE
Hadn't
inspiration.
you talked about doing a luchador even at one point?
I mean, I mentioned not necessarily luchador, but a professional wrestler background,
that's right. Mm-hmm.
but not like goofy, just like, hey, this is, you know, a big acting on stage. Because I mean, and Songbird has this too. You know, he's got a lot of skill points in social situations, and he's just as good of a face as he is actually fighting.
Yep.
And so the kind of shit talking, like big crowd pleasing aspect of like Conor McGregor, and the very like death metal vibe of Aleister Black, or his old wrestling name is Tommy fucking End. I'm a huge fan of him. He's this like Dutch like actual Satanist wrestler. Big fan for sure.
So for me, it was just reading through the book when we first got our hands on it. The Canthus really struck out at me, and reading through the descriptions of the various sort of, they have like a couple of 3 examples of what a Canthus are like. And it immediately hit on me from Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency.
I need to see that.
I'm not necessarily the movie or the series or whatever with the book, but so Dirk Gently has a habit of whenever he needs to go somewhere, he just finds somebody who looks like they know where they're going and follows them. Now, he never ends up where he intended to go, but he always ends up where he needed to be. And that kind of struck me as sort of the acanthus. Where do I need to go? What do I need to do? I don't really know what it is, but fate will take me to where I need to be. And so that was kind of where I went from that. And then building on some of the Celtic mythos, and like the witches from Macbeth and that kind of stuff. The
literal weird sisters,
the literal weird sisters, like the 3 fates, right? The matron, the maiden, and the crone, and that kind of imagery. So I'm expecting some of that to change as we move on. But that was sort of where I was coming from. Always the hand behind the hero,
you
know, rather breaking or making the situation.
I mean, I think we can all agree that weird is like hobo Doctor Who in a Chronicles of Darkness setting.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. I don't think Weird has quite leaned into I'm here to save the day the way Doctor Who does, but yeah, especially with the TARDIS and the like.
I think
we're
the
just
setting
going to
has
end up
some more to do with that for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
It's definitely we're not. I don't think any of us are heroes.
No, I don't take anybody as being a hero, especially since that's a bad thing in Beast, but you know, I don't think anybody is out to save the day. Though so far you guys have all expressed at least a little bit of interest in keeping people alive where possible. You guys haven't messed with sleepers in a like overly negative way, though I guess Bayman was willing to if necessary, but yeah.
I'd made all the preparations for it to happen.
Yeah. Well, and bear in mind, he still has all that stuff.
Yes.
You know, so should the need arise. Moving on, we have a question from Songbird. What? But yeah, I appreciate it.
Well, to be fair, not too many people would ask any questions at this point.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was about to pop off.
But before we get into that, can I reflect this back on you? Is Rescue 1 canon, or did you pull that out of your head?
Actually, it is sort of canon. Rescue 1 is not, but the a werewolf pack book, which I love to death, because it's literally about, okay, let's get the gang together and let's talk about everybody who's involved in the pack as a character. Or even it has suggestions for everybody make a bunch of characters, and the gameplay is, okay, these characters are going to go up. You're going to play so-and-so. You're going to play so-and-so. Go. And while they're doing that, you guys are going to play these characters, and they're doing this thing. And it's all about playing the whole pack. And I'm like, that's really cool. Never going to storytell that because it would make my brain explode. But one of the examples is a pack, and it's a bunch of firefighters, and it's It's almost
That
verbatim.
sounds
Rescue
like
One.
Werewolf meets Ars Magica.
Yeah, there's it references that book references a couple other things like that. So yeah, and it's a very different troop play, and you can do the same thing with Geist, Geist 2E, because they have like the actual
The
Geists.
crew.
Yeah, the crew. Yeah, because you have the actual Sin Eaters, you have the mediums and like people in the know who deal with ghosts, and then you have like, oh yeah, by the way, here's rules to make a ghost character. And you know how, and so Gabe has had a couple tweaks using that. That's one of the discussions we talked about with memories, because that's one of their kind of things. So cool, thank you. Yeah, and then Songbird's question: what is the most unexpected or wildest thing we've done so far from a storyteller perspective? I legitimately was surprised that you guys were like, Phantasm Society, we're going to have to gun these guys down. We're going to have to ambush them. We might have to kill these. I'm like, what have I done to suggest that these were bad guys? Like, they were interacting with a ghost. You don't know in what way. And you guys went straight to the negative, which I mean, like, oh yeah, we're dealing with the underworld. I can understand that, but it's like, let's do some investigation. I was very glad when you guys started to read into, okay, hang on, this might be something. You know, and especially when I was very pleased when Weird went and called up Shodell. Hell, do you guys know anything about this Phantasm Society? I was like, Shodell was able to go, nope, never heard of them. And Weird immediately went, hang on, something else is going on here. And I was like, okay, this might get us in the right direction. So,
those first few sessions, we were all kind of spoiling for a fight, though. Like we were looking to bang our heads against something.
Yeah, no, and it's definitely one of those things that I'm like, I definitely need to introduce a little bit more combat to this. So yeah, we'll definitely see some more now that I have a better feel for what you guys can do. And I have to remember, it's really hard to kill a mage. Like at the end of the day, a mage can run away or remove themselves from a situation. You have things like, I'm just going to be invisible now, or I'm going to send somebody to the stratosphere, or I'm just going to luck into somebody like driving by and I can grab onto the back of their truck, or, you know, there's a lot of that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, Batman could start co-locating. Well, never mind.
Not quite yet.
Just keep rubbing salt in that wound.
Dude, and it hurts me personally because like if I can't play a Moros, I am playing a warlock, and it's all about that space. Like I'm like Shodell is nearly my character. Just like I'm just going to be there now, and I'm just gonna, like, you can't stop me. So yeah. Continuing on.
Yeah, I guess like the second half of this question was
oh yeah, for you guys.
Some of this is like, you know, less, I don't know. It's feeling more self-aggrandizing with only the two of us here, but that's okay. It's like, you know, what have we found? What have the characters found totally surprising about each other? Like, what is the kind of the thing that made, you know, Weird go,
The generosity of Songbird. Personally, like completely just open up his home, yak, whatever. We're a group now, and I'm going to look after you guys, and the whole welcoming aspect that I was not expecting that. So that was kind of cool for me.
I mean,
plus the shit you can do to yourself.
Yeah.
Like how deadly you can make yourself.
Yeah, shit's wild for sure.
Yeah.
We'll
all the mages,
how well it pays off.
Right, yeah. All the mages have this great ability to do all sorts of stuff to themselves and the environment around them, except for Acanthus, which is one of the reasons Acanthus drives me nuts, but I feel less bad because it's like, oh, you're in a real fight now. I can make you take a little more damage, and you're going to hurt yourself as much as you hurt me, which, for those of you who are caught up on episode 18, Monkey's Paw is, I believe, no, not Monkey's Paw. Shared Fate.
Shared Fate is the one that, if you're gonna hurt me, you're gonna take whatever you give me.
It's the same type of damage. So if a attack does, so like it would be the same. Like, oh, it's a gunshot wound, which to you would do lethal damage, but to a vampire does bashing damage.
Yep. They would take lethal.
No, they would. The vampire would like if got shot would take bashing, and then the person shooting the vampire would take lethal. It would be as if they were hit by the same attack.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, I'm like,
I thought
okay.
you were arguing this the opposite way around, like the vampire shoots a gun and then either
No.
way.
So yeah, it has a little bit. It's not quite as crazy OP as I thought it was. It's still going to be absolutely devastating because that plus the grievous wound or grave misfortune, that's the one that's going to really, really set things off. So that'll be interesting. What was in? Yeah, go for it.
I think Songbird's biggest surprise has been, I don't know, because I feel like Songbird's definitely way more open. Like not just with his house, but like with his goals and his like everything. So I think a lot of that is him just kind of like
thing too.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's like this is sort of my religion, sort of thing. So, but I think the most surprising thing was Mammon's sort of business proposition, and just being like, yeah, this is what we're gonna do. You got any input on this? Because like, other than that, Mammon's like, yep, this is my thoughts. This is what I do. Like mostly keeps him to himself. But this was kind of seemed like the first kind of hint at, his sort of goals and what he wants to do.
Yeah. Knowing Mammon's backstory and the character as explained to me by John, I'm very excited to see where that character progresses, because right now, like, because I know I'm like, oh, you guys should like Mammon. I realize, wait, you guys have no reason to have any real opinions about him.
He's kind of just a snarky dick,
right? Which I have word from the inside sources that John's wife has watched the show and said, yeah, so Mammon is just a one-dimensional, jerk. And I was like, oh, that's so rough. And John knows it. John, because Mammon does not share much. And when you're a Mastigos, you're a warlock, and it's all about connections and what people know, like sympathetic names, like people knowing your name. That's literally all they need, and now they can do stuff at a distance. And you don't even have to be a very good space mage. As soon as you have 2 dots in space, now distance does not matter. If you're willing to spend the 1 reach and the 1 mana, they can reach you anywhere. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'm very curious to see where that goes. So scrolling on with the question, if we're good, we have the next question. What do you guys think of Mage Awakening's predecessor, Mage the Ascension? I have
no experience.
Yeah, I have read some of it. I'm not a huge fan of the way they handle different groups, where like everything is just powered by sheer belief. And so you have these guys that they do magic one way, and you have these guys who do magic a completely other way, and it's all the same, and it all follows the same rules. And I'm just like, I like Mage Awakening's like everything kind of works. People may have different ways of doing magic, but it's all from the same source. It's the soul awakening. And I like that it's Ascension, as I've read it, and like I said, I don't have a bunch of experience with this, is more about belief. And the reason magic doesn't work around normal people is because they don't believe in magic, and they have the technocracy, which is all about technology and making people not believe in magic. And I'm just like, I kind of like the Awakening's background a little bit more. So
yeah, like from my very little experience of it, Mage the Ascension is much more like, I'm gonna be a magician. Like, you can do a lot of different crazy things, and shit goes off the rail real fast. But I like the core premise of Mage the Awakening better. I think I agree with you. Kind of this, the Matrix meets, I'm gonna just do a bunch of wild magic shit.
Yep. And I also like that in Awakening, the big bad like overarchs are also mages. and they're also doing, and they want to keep magic for themselves, but they will occasionally team up with the Pentacle or good guy, air quotes, heavy air quotes, good guy mages, to like, okay, hang on, let's not let the sleepers die. Also, let's not let the abyss in. Let's go kill the Scelesti, So you have that kind of stuff where the bad guys are more relatable. They're not, mustache twirling, evil villains. I mean, they're definitely evil because they want to keep all the power to themselves. But yeah, again, I don't have a lot of experience with it.
I think, compared to some of the, if you're talking like the kind of alignment range that the different kind of splats play in, like Mage is very sort of neutral based, whereas, Werewolf the Forsaken is fairly good aligned for the most part.
Yep.
And Vampire goes definitely evil skewed for sure.
Yeah.
At least the way most people want to play it.
Right. And even the nicest vampire, generally speaking, if they're
hunts down human and bites them.
Right. Well, I mean, if I remember correctly, at blood potency like 1 and 2, you can get away with eating animals, but you'll never be able to go higher than that.
Right.
And so that's and I don't remember that they have an easy way to increase humanity. Like once they start to lose humanity, it's just kind of lost. It's been a bit since I've looked at that, but
yeah.
So yeah, to answer the question directly, we don't have a lot of experience about it, but we really like Awakening.
Yeah. So that kind of like naturally leads us. We can like skip around, I think, a little bit.
Oh sure. Do you have another question that you see?
What is the next COD game that y'all would like to try or play after Mage?
Oh, dude. If you haven't paid attention, Geist, I'm very, very excited about. I'll be honest, if the Patreon takes off and I can like do this full time, I will totally be running a Geist game and probably a third, maybe, I don't know. But I will definitely be running a Geist game because it has very similar like, hey, you can be good guys. And one of the end goal things for our crew is, yeah, you guys storm the Underworld, you find a section of it and you take it over and you make it a nice place. And that's your end game, is to make a section of the Underworld a nice place to live. What about you guys?
Craig?
I don't really have much experience outside of the Mage Awakening.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Because I remember mentioning, I invited Craig and he was like, yeah, sure. What's Mage? I was like, well, it's in World of Darkness. He goes, I've heard of that. And I'm going, So, yeah, because, yeah, you have, let's see, going through the major Chronicles of Darkness splats, you've got Vampire the Requiem, which is all about monsters trying to hang on to their humanity or just giving it up. Werewolf the Forsaken, which is your werewolf spirits, boundaries, balance stuff. You got Geist, which we've talked about. Changeling the Lost, which is really kind of interesting. That's the whole, been kidnapped by Fae. No, their Arcadia is not the Supernal Arcadia, and I'm sticking to that. And, you come back and you find out you've been replaced by a doppelganger and you no longer look like you, but nobody can tell that. And that's a pretty slick one. Mummy the Cursed, super excited about 2nd edition. Very curious to see how that starts off, because it's like, you awaken, you're a mummy, you have a ton of powers, and you barely have any of your own memories. All you'd remember is you were sent here to guard something and to serve, and there you have a cult to serve you. Right away, you are at the most powerful, and as you progress through the game, you lose power until you fall dormant again, kind of thing. So this is very different. I feel like I'm missing... Oh, Promethean.
Beast.
Oh, yeah, Beast. Yeah, so you got Promethean, where you basically play Frankenstein, and the end result is, I've learned enough about humanity, and I've changed my class enough and completed all these, the pilgrimage, and I become human, and I get a real soul, and I become a real boy, and that's your and then and it's like, wow, that's really great. Oh, right, you live in the world of darkness. Not the best.
I'm not saying it's not gonna go great, but
right. And it leaves it kind of open, because it basically is retroactive. So you have always been human. And so everybody always remembers you as being human. Now, whether or not you have your old memories That's a whole other thing. So that's a really fun one. And again, a little bit more good aligned, very exploring, and you kind of deal with people assaulting you. Hunter, that's the one I was thinking of. Hunter classic. You're just a guy with a shotgun, and there's bad, creepy things in the neighborhood.
You have some sort of voice in your head telling you to go hunt down this person.
Well, and
these things.
That's more Hunter. That's more the previous version. Now it's now it's just like you've noticed stuff, and no, a lot of it is you've kind of snapped kind of thing. And so you're Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or but that one has. So, and I'm super excited about second edition for that, because they range from, you have some local groups all the way up to global groups that you can join.
To like, let's play Blade, but you know, we're not vampires.
Yep. And some of them are like, oh, they're super mundane, and they and like the Union is just like a bunch of guys, and they communicate over the internet, and they share stuff, and like, oh, I've seen this thing, oh yeah, well, this is how you deal with that. And they share that information, but that's all they are. Up to the government military wing of vampire hunters, or what is it? The Lucifuge? I can't remember exactly what their name is, but they're straight up like D&D warlock, fiend warlocks. They're like, oh yeah, we made deals with the devil. We have demon blood. Yeah, and very metal. Beast.
So I think as far as my answer to this question.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, get back to the question. Sorry.
Before we range through literally all the splats. Beast I find really interesting. I don't know how well it works as a whole group of beasts. From what I've understood, it's kind of made to like go along with the werewolf pack, or go along with the vampire, whatever their things are called. Coterie. But beasts are pretty cool. Like your soul got eaten by a very like classic fairy tale
monster
sort of
soul,
monster, and like found a way inside you, and the thought of being like a giant or a dragon or something like that, but kind of just metaphorically for the most part, is pretty cool. I really like werewolf. I really like werewolf.
Yep.
That's my answer. The thought of a like Cahalith that is a comic book artist and like uses some of her tell the stories and stuff like that is kind of my what I would play given that opportunity. But yeah.
After throwing all those splats at you, Craig, is any of them you go, maybe I should read about that more?
Well, I've done a little bit of reading about Changeling. That sounded kind of interesting. The whole Steely Unseelie court and like fairy politics and stuff like that. Like that's kind of scratches an itch for me a little bit.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I figured it would. It's one I need to. I had the second edition book. I need to sit down and read it some more, because I had no immediate plans to put them into the Occultists Anonymous game. We have to go do some more mage stuff before I pull in another splat. But
that sounds about right.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, real quick question here for Bipolar Bear. What's your screencasting kit? Did I make that overlay myself? Screencasting kit I put together myself with OBS. And no, I didn't make the overlay myself. I have a tremendously sexy graphic designer that happens to live with me and is also my wife. And so I beg on my knees and please, I need this thing. And I describe how I need it to look, and she makes it, and then she says, also, your design sucks. Here, let me fix that. Actually, I think it started with, I believe Craig's daughter said, hey, by the way, why are their faces so small? And I went, that's a really good, really good point. So I begged Amanda, and we fixed that up. Some of that dead space will get filled when we get art in, which is supposed to be done by the end of June.
Soon.
So yes, thank you for that question.
Hopefully none of us are dead before the art comes in.
Well, if we'll just put we'll put up a little RIP immemorial, and we'll just put that over. Yeah. Cool. Let's see here. We'll come back to Chris's question later.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, out of all of the Splats enemies you have to pick from which would from which do you think would give the Cabal the most challenge given their skill set and abilities? Werewolves will suck because they have spirits, and the Cabal has absolutely no defense against spirits. They can't even see them. I guess they can call up Shanna if they realize they have a werewolf problem. Because that's half of mage, right? Realizing that you have a problem. Now we can do something about it.
The first step is admitting you have a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Call up Shanna. Hope she's still in New York, and see if she can help you out a little bit. But even then, nobody has her as a ally, as the merit or retainer or anything like that. So mechanically, she's not getting into any fights with y'all. Same thing with Onyx. When the 3 werewolves showed up, no, that was the Mammon and Songbird show, and Onyx was like, I ain't getting involved in this.
Bye.
So werewolf would be really rough on them, and so would Hunter. Depending on the Hunter, they wouldn't even be able to use magic easily.
Oh yeah, because they're sleepers.
Yeah,
That would suck.
Depending on which Hunter type they are. Yeah. So little. Well, no. I won't tell you any future plans. But yeah, Hunter would be a little rough depending on what Hunter. Some of them will want to kill you because you're witches and sorcerers, and others will be like, "Oh, we've heard about you. Hey, we need a hand." And and much more difficult to figure out, are these guys going to want to kill me or not? Because even within the same category of Hunter, some of them are going to want to kill you, and some are going to be like, "Oh, you guys are okay." Though, of course, Deviant hasn't come out yet, so I don't know how Deviant is going to be, because as Deviant is like, hey, you wake up and somebody has messed with you, and you are now, somebody did something ritually, or they mad scientist you, or whatever.
Yeah, I'm really excited to read that book and see all the different options, because it could range all the way from, 11 from Stranger Things to fucking Wolverine to there's definitely a lot of potential in that sort of thing, of depending on how many different path and order sort of analogs that they
the
have
racing
included.
class combos,
the racing class combo sort of things.
That'll be interesting. What was Mammon's Awakening like? I know, you don't. Sorry. We'll get John in for another QA.
Blame John.
So, blame John.
We don't know either, so.
Yeah, which he wrote up what his awakening was, and I really dig it. It's similar to Songbirds in the, like, there was a moment and then all of a sudden everything just clicked, and I was like, and the particular moment and everything and the reaction afterwards, I'm like, yeah, that really tells you a lot about Mammon. Unfortunately, you guys don't know anything about it yet.
I think that it's funny that, like, I talked about this earlier with, like, Songbird probably being the most open about his goals and desires and everything, is that I also think I am the most open as a player, like in our Discord chat and everything like that. I definitely am one like, hey, this is probably what I'm going to be doing. This is cool. Check it out.
And meanwhile, John
does nothing. He's like,
Project Canary.
Project Canary. He doesn't even tell us in game. We're just like, you son of a bitch. I like it though. It's cool to have that different range of sort of playstyles and everything.
Oh, this will be a very, very good Craig question. How does each mage feel about their old life as a sleeper? Because we've been literally watching, like, Weird investigate her own awakening and taking a look at some of this stuff. I'm very curious. Because actually, that's another one. You guys don't know Weird's background.
It's true.
I talk about a little bit in my logs and stuff like that as my internal monologuing, but yeah, nothing came out in game. Weird thinks of the time before her awakening as it was a different person. So she's not doing the straddling of fallen life and awakened life. Like, that person doesn't exist anymore. She's now just weird, and that's just how she kind of views it. There was a definite, well, it wasn't a clean cut or anything.
Right.
It was really messy, but when she came through out the other side of that transformation, it was like her old life wasn't a thing anymore, and now this is just who she is. So that'll be interesting to explore some of that a little bit more. And I think Atratus is kind of the same way.
Yeah, and I think hers was probably even more before even her awakening. I feel like she was just like she was over it between her parents already gone, Gabe dying, and stuff like that. I think Emily Miller was already headed that direction of just cutting ties, and then this awakening, really giving her something different. So yeah, I'm very curious what she thinks about it. I know she's definitely made comments in Discord about how she hates the idea that Emily Miller is still her sympathetic name. She's like, she's over that. I'm like, no, that life is still there. It's still help make you you. Songbird, of course, has no old sleeper life. Songbird is just
Songbird is just
a
like
little different,
laying himself all out there.
It'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, and I think, and based on the long-term aspiration that you have, I feel like Songbird considers the old life like there were some parts of it that he's not happy with now that he wants to change.
Yeah,
that he was okay with
a lot
before.
Of that was, like being rich and famous. Like you'll kind of let some hangers on accrue, and you'll kind of if you're happy enough, you'll ignore some problems and stuff like that. And so then like having the world unveiled to him, and then it's like, all right, well, we need to fix some of this shit.
Yeah. Especially with Prime and Brimos and like truth being
words of truth being like, especially new praxis for me and everything like that. Like how do I feel about my old life as a sleeper though is incomplete. There's a reason that Songbird doesn't have like a distinct separation, because like this magic stuff is now that missing part,
right?
So it's like he doesn't want to cut ties with his old life. He still wants to possibly even get back in the ring, which is going to be, I'm sure, just a great idea.
I have absolutely no plans for that. No, that's what I'm really looking forward to, because that is going to introduce some really interesting stuff. Mostly drama. There will obviously be some dangers, but because anything you do as a mage, eventually somebody's going to notice. So it's going to generate some.
But also, like, you talk about the your nimbus like leaking out along your connective ties and stuff like that, and I have not done magic around any of my old life people yet.
Yep, but you still have those connections. So once your gnosis starts to creep up,
it'll start happening for sure.
Yep. Why does the gym always feel like there's Braveheart is playing in the background? I don't know. That is kind of weird. I don't know. So I'm going to scroll back because I really like this question, and I really wish we had the whole party here. But Chris asked, is there a character detail or personality trait from character creation you found it hard to get across in play? And conversely, what is something about your character you've discovered only after getting into the game? Because this is, from a player, this is one of those things that I always enjoy, because like you make a character and then you get in, and about 2 sessions in you realize I need to add some notes because the character I had in my head is not what I've got on the table.
Right. So John, or Craig, you want to lead us off with that?
I had a little bit of difficulty leading into the vices side of things. Just so it's maybe a little weird, but the way characters don't just exist on paper for me. They're like people that live in my head.
Yep. Sure.
So they like pop into my head fully formed, and like we have discussions about how they are and what their personalities are like and stuff like that for me. So I had a pretty good idea of what Weird was like, but like trying to demonstrate the vice was difficult for me. I found that hard. So I'm trying to change it up.
What was her vice originally? Because it's changed now. Yeah.
Deceitful. She was, never tell it, kind of never speak truth when the lie will do.
Yep.
Kind of thing. So she's very evasive about stuff and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that came out a few times in our earlier sessions.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I really like about Chronicles of Darkness, because there's no reason. There's a lot of times you should go ahead and lean into your vice. Those are the characters that have the most willpower, so they can do more things better, and that helps provide some internal drama, and it's the generator for problems to come up and stuff like that. So yeah, as a storyteller, lean into whatever vice you've got. Do it, because it makes the game more interesting. Because, oh, well, this is going to get us into hasty, as an example. This is going to get us into more problems. That's fine. You now have willpower to get through that problem. So,
and that was the kind of thing with the Deceitful. It was a pretty subtle vice. So, like, I was using it a lot for the first few sessions, but no one really. Because we're still getting to know each other, no one really knew that I was lying.
Right.
No one really explored all that kind of, so it didn't seem to cause a lot of drama or anything. So that's why I went with a different thing with Gnosis 3.
Yep. What about Chris? What about Songbird?
So I think we've already talked about this. I think maybe in game, but definitely in chat. Is the thing that I discovered about Songbird was that he's a bad liar. And because we had a couple shitty rolls early on some social stuff, and I was like, okay.
I think we have determined. Yeah, and I think I remember you were like, oh, right, because this English is his second language, and so he has a lot of these extra pauses and starts and stops, and I was like, yeah, he probably is a shitty liar now, especially after being going Abrimos and like, I'm going to lie, and every part of his soul going, right.
Could you not?
Yeah.
And then character detail or personality trait. I don't know. I feel like I've done a pretty good job of portraying Songbird, at least as how I envision him, at least as far into his soul as we've delved so far. And Craig, you talking about the character like living in your head and being being an actual a person. The Songbird is probably the closest character to like my personality that I've ever played. I usually go way far afield, but the kind of hasty decision making, like I always play barbarians sort of thing,
right?
I want to directly impact the world is kind of the way that I approach life and stuff like that. So like drawing the line between like what is Songbird and what is like how I envision I would play as a mage has been a fun kind of character detail to kind of wiggle between.
Yeah,
for sure.
It came up on Reddit recently. Somebody talked about if you're not playing D&D to deal, to confront your own personal thing, and it was like you played yourself, and I'm like, yes. Which then, of course, begs the question: why do I keep playing lawful evil characters? Right. So Schmitty asks, wait, nope, we just did that one. Excuse me, scrolling on. So yeah, what are the goals of each member of our cabal? They're called aspirations. They're listed. Long term. Well, and see, for me, like, I'm curious what everybody's out of character goals are, because right now most everybody's aspirations have been like what their character wants. Nobody's done a very out of character aspiration.
I had a few at the start.
Yeah, I think right at the start you guys had some like very out of character ones, and then once we got started, you were realizing, oh, hang on, I need to make these like immediately relevant so I can get some beats out of them.
Yeah, when we first started out, like I didn't really know how the aspirations worked and everything, so definitely a lot more short-term goals.
Yeah, I think I was the one that grokked it the best and maybe gamed the system a little bit. So your boy Songbird's ahead in the XP chart.
Yeah, not too far ahead. I started doing the math. I realized actually it's not way ahead, but
three-ish XP ahead, I think.
Yep.
So not too bad. Songbird's goal is to continue delving into the sort of creation and prime magical aspects. We've met Colossus, and we know a little bit of what the Forge Masters are, but that is hopefully where I'm headed.
Yep, that little dip in the pool. I was like, "Ooh, this could be cool." I'm very excited because Forge Masters are definitely one of the cooler legacies.
It's the most metal
out there.
thing I've ever read.
Yeah. Yeah, and,
Yank your soul out and pound
No
it into shape
spoilers.
on an anvil.
Oh,
and-
don't spoil it.
Yeah. blah, 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 blah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, they definitely have one of the most awesome initiations. So, Weird has some plans in terms of legacies that I'm pretty excited to see. I don't know if you're willing to talk about those just yet, but
I think I want to keep that under my hat for now.
yeah,
I was saying earlier about different playstyles.
yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah.
Where I'm like, turn to page this on Legacies of the Ancient.
that she's definitely going her own way, legacy wise.
Mm-hmm.
She's got some ideas that she wants to explore.
Yeah, I am very curious about the labyrinth, though. Like, I'm very curious to see where that's going to go.
That's cool.
I'm not sure how that's going to grow up either, but it's definitely something she wants to explore because in her, like, she never went through the whole labyrinth thing
Mm-hmm.
when she ended up in the Guardian. She just she was already past that point by the time anyone found her. So she wants to get an idea what that's like. So looking at taking the mystery cult influence thing later on when I have an XP saved up and stuff.
Yep.
But in the meantime, trying to lay the groundwork for that.
Yeah, which I appreciate. From a storyteller perspective, I really love the fact that, like, okay, I'm going to go get this, so I'm going to start the story for it here. That way it's not like, I have 3 XP, I now run a mystery cult, I'm going, okay,
Wait, what?
yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I think I'm currently saving up some XP to go towards like adamantine arrow status and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And so like if we come out of this alpha shit alive, like that is in Songbird's head at least, I'm walking in and demanding a fucking promotion for this shit.
Yep. Yeah, no, that'll be a good one. Yeah, I'm very excited to, like, all of you have gone, yeah, we're not interested in the political side of the concilium and stuff like that, which I appreciate because that's a little less stuff I have to work out.
Well, again, we do have to remember that it has been 18 episodes, but it's been 4 days.
Right. Yeah.
And I think we're going to put some time gaps and stuff like that coming up. And I mean, I could see Songbird definitely being a sort of, a force in the Concilium and Adamantine Arrow in the future.
Yeah. Well, and there's a big difference between getting involved in the local Concilium and just like being known in the caucus, because like, Adamantine Arrow status, you're well known amongst the Adamantine Arrows. The Concilium, the Hierarch, all those guys, they don't know who you are, if that's how you guys play, it's just like, yeah, they're these guys who they run the south of Manhattan. Okay, cool. Have they caused any trouble? No. Okay. Yeah, whatever. Leave them be. I
mean, Shodel's the only Concilium member we've met, right?
Oh, no, you've met a bunch. He's just the only one with a title.
I mean, yeah, like
all the Mysterium folks, they're all part of the Concilium and stuff.
Yeah, but
I mean, everyone's part of the Concilium. I mean, like title holding sort of people.
Moonkeeper, who we just only mentioned,
right.
And Castiel. No, it's not Castiel. But one of the Mysterium members that Tratus met up with when they were doing some research. Met up with him, and he's in there. Kiza, I believe. Let's pull him up. Organizations. Yes, because he's also one of the counselors, just like Moonkeeper. So you guys run into that, but yeah, not a lot of title people. You guys haven't put yourselves in a place. Whoops! Oh my gosh! I just realized I just showed Kanka to a whole bunch of people on the internet. I need to do that as a video, guys. So you guys get down there, if you're on YouTube, you saw a little bit of what Kanka was. I'm going to do a video of that, I realize. Because I keep talking about, you guys can join on Patreon and get Kanka. Let me actually show you what it is. We'll do that.
I think it's a really cool tool.
Yeah,
for sure.
I really enjoy it. But yeah, so whoops, there's your little sneak peek of what Contra looks like. I don't think you would have seen any spoilers, but I don't know. Go through and screen cap all this stuff and see what you find. So yeah, I think we've gone a little bit afield, but oh, hey, Pink Gazelle saying, hey, how much planning do you do for the events of each episode beforehand? How much in advance do you plan the different roads the Cabal can take given their choices? Absolutely none.
I can answer this because usually on Thursday afternoons we go soon, and then Lonarm responds, shit, I gotta prep.
Yeah. And legitimately, I prep differently. It's something I've noticed even when I play D&D. I create a world and I put people in it and I know what people will do. And then I kind of sit back and relax and watch as the Cabal go and do things. Now, that said, once they're on a path and they're going to go do something, I start building frameworks and stuff. And I start fleshing out characters. Hey, we're going to go do a bunch of stuff with werewolves. Okay, I need some werewolf names. I need to know what powers they are. I need to know what ranks they are. I need to know what they're capable of. And so I'll do a lot of that prep, and I try to do it the week of, because trying to plan a week in advance, I'm literally dealing with mages that can bend reality to their whim. Week to week, I don't know what they're going to do. And when they pick up, oh, by the way, I just literally when Mammon picks up space 3, all of a sudden
it changes everything.
All of a sudden teleportation is on the table. And at literal space 4, when he has actual teleport, literally the Cabal can pick up and say, Songbird's in trouble. And Mammon can go, cool. And straight up Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, vroom, and now they're all hanging out.
Or the opposite.
Right.
You can Star Trek me.
Yeah. It's like, Songbird's got a problem. I'm bleeding from a gunshot wound. Well, heal yourself. Oh, right. That's a thing I can do.
Yeah, I have life 3 at this point.
Yep. But those are, the things that I have to prep for. There's no prepping for that.
Dude, that's the thing is we're like, basically two-ish months, just shy of 3 months into this campaign.
Yep.
And, we're about to send Lunnerman into the high level D&D sort of mindset of planning where you're just like, all right, well, if I've got a 15th level wizard, then you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to write down some HP numbers and make up some saves. It'll be fine.
Yep. Yeah. When you've got, I mean, I'll be honest. It's all Craig's fault because Acanthus can go, well, we really need this thing. Okay, I'm going to cast a spell that basically is going to take me to it. Yep. Now, I do need to start playing out the whole, I have to go there now thing.
The bad side of the coins thing.
Yeah, and the bad side of the coins, okay, I'm just going to follow this thing, and okay, well, you were just wondering, and now you are in a dark alley at night in New York, and there's this guy smiling at you with fangs coming out. It's like, oh, hang on, where are we now? Because I have to remember that, just nothing in that spell says you will safely go there.
Then I will tell that man with fangs to put them away because, hey, man, we've got a truce and we're outside.
Right. Well, no, see that sign that you just walked past? It says private property. Oh,
whoops.
Yep. Quick. Time 3, shifting sands. Rewind back one saying, I did not go there. That's another thing that makes prep really, really hard. They can mess with time. So they can just undo a lot of stuff. Yeah.
So I think the next question kind of tags along to this one. Lonram, to what extent do you craft NPCs, full stat blocks or build the adventure around their NPCs? Do you do just short descriptions and figure out the rest as it comes up in story? Same questions goes to various organizations, in particular the Concilium.
Yeah. No, I don't do full stat blocks. And especially when you have when playing in Chronicles of Darkness, it's really easy to get a gauge of this person is really good at something. Is it because of their strength or is it because of their skill? It doesn't matter.
Just give them dice pools.
Right, you give them dice pools. They're pretty good at this thing. Okay, it's an 8. They're really good at this thing. Okay, it's a 10. Okay, and then throw in, if it's a fight, then you don't, you cap it out at 10 because, whatever. The real fun stuff is there is a reason I roll silently behind the table. That's just for you guys, you viewers, so you can see what actually showed up. But they don't. But I will occasionally, and this is something I do in D&D, I'm like, hey, just so you all know, and then I will roll
Pick a hunk of dice, drop them on the table.
Yeah, it's like, okay, he reaches out to claw at you, and he rolls a 15 dice pool, and you go, excuse me, what?
Pardon me. I would like to quietly remind you I've got 7 health.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, no, I don't do full stat blocks. Usually what I do is I follow the character creation guide in the book. I literally go, what's their concept? This thing. What's their, virtue and vice? Which, by the way, even if you're not playing World of Darkness, steal that for every NPC you ever make, because it's very, very easy. And it factors into the doors mechanic in World of Darkness, but it's great for any NPC you create. It's like, are they leaning into a particular virtue or a vice of theirs? Then yeah, it's much easier. Are you railing against their virtue, or are you denying them a particular vice? Then they're going to be against it. Suddenly you have a very easy pathway to decide how a character is going to act. Throw in race and class combos. Like when I created Rebecca, I literally went, okay, I know what crew they need to be, so I'm going to go find. Oh, that's the right. I can't remember what they're called. I really can't remember. But anyways, their class, and I picked a appropriately matching, race. And boom, there I had my character, and I said, oh, right, and also she's going to be about this powerful, so what things does she need to have? This thing, this thing, this thing. And I just wrote quick notes of what she can do, because I'll be honest, unless it's in combat, I'm not rolling to see if she actually manages to use that ability. She just does, because it's not going to be dramatically interesting. They get into a big shouting match with a character, and the character uses their, awe-inspiring, presence ability, and whoops, I didn't get enough successes, so they don't. Okay, you guys win. That's not interesting. Players getting past those obstacles is interesting, which is one of the reasons why I'm taking away all their intros from rituals. Like, hang on, we can't make this too easy. And then, same thing with organizations. Some of the stuff, especially Mage, the orders and the organizations there, they have, it's in the book. I can work off of that, and I use that as the baseline, and then I decide, okay, just how hardline are these guys? Like, the Guardians of the Veil can be super, jerk, secret police cops snitches, where they're investigating everybody and they're super paranoid, or they can be more of Weird is playing it super heavily. Hey, we're team players, but all of the Guardians will happily be team players when, hey, I'm running into this issue with Paradox, or hey, I was working on this thing and it's totally above board, but that just one weird Paradox thing happened, and now there's an abyssal creature rolling around. The Guardians go, cool, we're on it. Because that's one of the things they do. Same thing with Adamantine Arrow. Yes, they could be crazy militant, Guardians, and, especially if you had a Adamantine Arrow hierarch, that whole concilium is going to feel...
The whole concilium is going to be very...
regimented and stuff like that. And I mean, the one we have, it's Silver Ladder, but they're everybody has a place, and so that's, and literally, when I was making all the people in Conca, I rolled dice. I was like, there's 5 possible orders and there's 5 possible paths, and I was rolling 2d10s, and I was going, okay, and there we go. Now, now I have, and just generating characters that way. And so there's quite a number of Occultists, actually, which really upset me.
I love it.
I know, but that said, Occultists are very much they're the kind of people that are likely to, if they want to be in power, they will be in power, because they will.
I mean, it makes sense that there's not too many Thyrsus in power.
Right. Yeah. And there's actually, if you read the books, guys, the Nemean, he was in power. He was a hierarch, and he was absolutely savage, and they kicked him out because he was crazy and wild, because he was a Thyrsus. Yeah. Yeah, Nemean, man. I was like, yeah, you name a guy, a shaman named Nemean. That's what you're gonna get. Let's see here.
I'm playing a Theursis if you kill me, by the way.
Noted. As long as it's not another Acanthus. If there's two of them, I give up.
Oh man.
It's like, because then you start to have time travel overlaps, whatever. Let's see here. Sim Porter, our second ever patron. Hey, Ryan. Did you consider other systems? Which ones? Why? What led you to go with Mage? No, I did not consider any other systems. I've been wanting to play Mage for 2 years now. I found one game. It was a terrible, terrible session. And I was like, this sucked. But it made me realize, oh no, I think I do understand the rules enough. So I kept looking for games, couldn't find anything. My D&D game ended, and mostly because I was the one running it, and I was tired of playing D&D. And the story had a nice conclusion. I said, well, I guess I'm just going to run Mage. And then I was like, hey, do you guys care if I record it? And now we're here, doing a Q&A, which is really, really weird. I've never done a Q&A before for any tabletop game I've run, but
Nope.
Now we're here. Let's see. Are there?
I don't know if we ever talked about like how we know each other or anything like that, or how the group kind of formed or anything like that. But
Oh yeah, like the actual players. The fact that I basically messaged a whole bunch of people. I'm going to run Mage. Are you interested? Yes, no. And then I took that list, and there were some of them who were like, hey, I've never played in the World of Darkness before, so I want to do that before I know for sure, 2 of which were Craig and Ash. And so I threw them into a weird jail scenario, and they investigated. I was like, okay, what'd you guys think? And we had one player who said, I'm not into it. And I'm like, cool, bye. And then I'm looking at this list of about 8 people, and I'm going, I was hoping some more people would drop out. And I literally went through people that I've played before or wanted to play with, or and I have a habit. If I'm running a game, I'm going to invite the people who are running games for me. So I invited Craig because he was running Star Wars for me at the time, and Chris was running Mask. So I was like, okay,
is running?
Yep. Huh?
I said is running.
Is running. Very true. Coming to the conclusion soon.
Yeah, we're working on it.
And then Ash, I have played with in 2 campaigns. Is it just 2? Yeah, 2 campaigns. And she is by far one of the most like into her characters that I've ever played with.
All of the playlist and Pinterest boards and stuff like that all comes from her. Like, yep. I personally saw those ideas, like, that's fucking great.
Yeah,
like,
I was like, that's brilliant. I guess I will make a Pinterest account.
Right.
Yeah.
Same thing. I was like, man, this is like, my wife walked in and saw me on the computer, like looking at Pinterest. She's like, what you doing? And I was like, making a song board.
So, yeah.
Shitty pun number 1 of the night.
Yep. So yeah. And Craig kind of impressed me with between running Star Wars, which I will admit, not my favorite system because you can't play Gray Jedi. Yes, you can. I know, Craig. I know. This is an ongoing argument. And that was fun. And we'd been playing Starfinder before. And again, that was that campaign for being a classic, like, hey, tabletop dungeon romp D&D style game. And man, there were sessions where it's like, nope, we're going to take 2 hours and we're just going to sit on a train and we're going to talk. And we had we had players who gave actual PowerPoint presentations in character. And it was just like, what is going on?
But they actually, in the intervening week, went and designed the PowerPoint.
Yeah,
like
legitimate
the players
PowerPoint.
themselves.
Yes,
that's amazing.
It was absolutely terrific. And so I knew that if, like, because I wasn't too worried about people understanding the rules. So I just wanted to get people who were going to play characters and actually play characters instead of, I'm playing a video game and my D&D character is my avatar. and I'm just going to do the optimum thing every time to play the best and stuff like that, which is fun. I'll be honest, in D&D.
I mean, until that last part, you were describing me.
Right. but that's my thing. Like, not literally your avatar, but like it's your video game avatar. Right? It's the tool I'm playing, as opposed to this is a character and it's going to do it is the role I am playing. And then John I have played with in 4 different games. 1 D&D game, Shadowrun, Chronicles of Darkness. He 2 Chronicles of Darkness. Is that right? Yeah. So I've played with John a lot, and he's another guy who puts a lot of thought into his characters. And it's nice to see when people do that, and they're like, yeah. And he plays it to the detriment of, yeah, I might piss off the other players, and because I do that, I'm like, okay, Ash, Chris, and Craig will understand that. Okay, this is okay. It's one of those things that like none of them will take it personally. Like I knew, like when he told me about Project Canary before he decided to do it, he's like, "Is this going to be okay? Is this?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And I was like, "Chris is going to wonder what's going on, but Chris will not be offended."
Nope.
He.
But I guess they're right in like 0.1 seconds.
Yeah, he was like, "This is about me." I was like, "Well, of course it's about you. Like you're the only one who has a like real world persona,
real person."
I don't think anybody knows Weird's real name, or well, actually, you would know Atratus' name because Gabe calls her Emily.
Because Gabe calls it that. But yeah, I don't think Craig's even written it down anywhere that's public, at least.
Yeah, I think it's on Conca. But yeah, it's so this was this group, and there's definitely several others that I really want to play with. This is one of the reasons why I'm like, man, if this actually takes off and I can do a second game,
and you spend hours of your life every week fucking putting videos together.
Like I would love it.
There's worse jobs.
It's a good problem to have, for sure.
Like legitimately, if guys, I'm telling you, you get on and you bump this Patreon up and do stuff, I will make more videos and all sorts of stuff. I will do it. I love this stuff. I love running the games. I love prepping games. I love editing the videos. Eventually we'll make enough money and pay somebody else to edit the videos and make a 3rd game. Who knows? But yeah, no, and just this group, I was like, they're going to be good. And I had pinged them all. And then I was like, I want to do a session 0. And everybody came in with, I have a character concept. I know what I want to do. John's was a little iffy because he wasn't sure about the mage part of things. He knew Chronicles of Darkness. And at that point, Craig and Ash had already created their characters. They'd had them in the one shot. They tweaked them a little bit because they realized, I don't much care about this, but I want this. Because I think they changed out their 1 dots of Arcana, I think maybe. But they changed him up just a little bit. Chris I wasn't worried about at all because I'd seen him in masks and he's all into every random NPC he creates. And for all his complaints on our game about puns, don't let him get away. We literally fought.
I love them.
We fought Blaspheme. We fought Misandry. Misbehave, and Mischievous, and the 3 triplets. And I'm just like, what is this? And he waited on that one.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he played the long game on that pun. I was not pleased. I was absolutely thrilled.
Literal weeks to figure out that there was actually 3 of these women.
So yeah, that was
great.
Fun. Back to these questions here. Let's see. For everyone, are there any spells you have been working on? What kind of spells is your character thinking about? Well, before I let them answer, because the answer is probably yes. Just for you guys at home, bear in mind, they cast a lot of these spells because they're listed in the book. Don't be afraid to create a spell of your own. That is totally a thing you can do. There's guides to it in the book. Don't be afraid to create your own spell, especially when you pick up like a praxis, because that's literally your spell. Man, make it up. Just look at the practices and decide this is totally a thing my character can do with these arcana, and just create that spell, run it by your storyteller, and then bam, you have your own spell, and it's not in the book. Anyways, yeah. What are you guys excited for? I think is the real thing. What is that new spell that you're looking for?
Oh, to go that way, yeah. Like I'm looking for the short story anthology. Really, a lot of the characters therein being acanthus, and that was I really enjoyed it.
Acanthus bias.
Yes, very much. Anyways.
But it's because they're so interesting. They're not the ones out there wielding the sword, but they're just manipulating the circumstances all around them, right?
I'm not wielding the sword either. I'm making them.
Well, but you are the sword in that case, right?
Fair.
So it was interesting seeing that. But the ability to hung spell, conditional cast, a doom. So if somebody messes with me, they've just fucked their own life.
Yep.
And just have that as a preparation if I'm going into a meeting and stuff like that. That kind of idea is really neat. But one thing I want to do on my own is during the one shot, I did a spontaneous cast for like a veil of fate kind of thing. As I was sneaking through the prison, like somebody would, drop a pencil as I happened to be walking by, and they would break line of sight as they bent down to pick it, or somebody else would spill their coffee and be mopping it up as I'm moving by. Just random things would happen to occupy their attention when I'm nearby to make it easier for me to sneak through.
Like Neo getting coached out of the office in the Matrix.
Yes.
Yeah, kind of, yes.
Go now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I was looking to build a praxis around that to make my stealth a little more stealthy.
Mm-hmm. Which I'll be honest, you can, and I think I mentioned it in the one shot, you could actually get away with that with there's something that gives you the bonus to mundane rolls.
Yeah.
And you can use that for stealth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the creative thaumaturgy, this is exactly what you can do, because you could create this praxis and add some extra reach things. And stuff like that to actually make your own spell, which is
we had a conversation about this the other night, where I was trying to kind of think out some of this creative thaumaturgy stuff, and I was like, oh, so I see that this spell lets me, enhance senses and stuff like that. So with a 2-dot version of it, you flip the practice and you can like do the opposite, right?
Yep.
So it's like, all right, what if I can just like shut down someone's senses? It's like, hey, maybe if there's a werewolf or something,
yep,
turn off his eyes, turn off his nose, whatever.
Yep.
But I mean, it's gonna depend on how I decide to spend Songbird's XP and which arcanas I get first and stuff like that, because I do have to pick up some to go towards the Forge Master.
Yeah, because
I don't know when I'm doing that.
Matter.
I gotta get 2 dots of matter.
Yeah.
So like we're looking at a solid 8 XP that I've got to spend on that before I can do that. But it goes pretty quick.
Yep.
But Prime 4 is going to be just stupid. At some point down the road, it's like imbued items and
just attainments.
Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And Apocalypse is a really rad spell that I'm super looking forward to in the future. It lets you transfer your mage vision to another person. Your mage sight, not mage vision.
Mm-hmm.
And like you could use this offensively and like put it on a sleeper, and then they go batshit insane because you've just unveiled the world on them. Not a nice thing to do, certainly, but also like in a team play sort of thing is like, hey, there's some crazy prime shit going on. I need you guys to understand this. And like pass it out to the team.
I don't have time to explain.
I don't have time to explain this.
Yep.
I think I'm really looking forward to being able to create magical items.
Yep.
That's my big thing. I think that goes along with the goal question. Is like Songbird is here to make things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And once you get into that territory, then you can start doing some really cool stuff. Especially imbuing long-term things. Especially since you have life, like, because we haven't done this yet, but you can do long-lasting spells and they can continue to go into effect. So a lot of the stuff we've done is like, it has an effect and it lasts for this long. But if you do, say, an attack spell or a heal spell, and then it happens on the intervals of your ritual, which right now, okay, whatever, it's every hour this thing happens. Well, yes, but you get into a little bit higher gnosis and you get to a 30-minute ritual time and you do literally, I'm trying to remember what it was, but it's like in 30 minutes, if you do 2 bashing damage every 30 minutes, I think it is, you just basically negate somebody's natural healing. Because they naturally heal bashing damage first, and if they always have bashing damage, they will never heal that one aggravated wound that you gave them. And so they're always going to have wound modifiers, and there's some other nasty stuff that you can do.
That sounds gross.
Yes. So yeah, very, very cool stuff. I'm looking forward to them realizing, and as players, I think they're starting to realize where, especially now that we have our first person who can do combined spells, and I think they've all started to notice. They go, "Oh, I could do this," and I'm like, "Yes," and it's gonna suck for whoever you cast that on.
Yep.
But sure, and having Noses 3 is awesome in that way, but it's also like sucks for Paradox.
Yes, it does.
Man, that's just a huge mana drain.
Yep.
Or taking a whole lot of damage.
Yep. Well, and that's the other thing is like, and it's one of the things you kind of like, you decide, well, am I willing to risk a handful of Paradox? Because, let's be honest, you guys have rolled 8 dice before and gotten no successes. Sure, I'm going to roll 8 Paradox, and
I think that's the one thing that I think all of us are still have that like hesitant sort of game body kind of mentality on, is that none of us have really risked it too much yet.
Yeah, to have just a couple, because you have a couple Paradox, and if you get any successes, then you roll your Wisdom to reduce that, and then regardless of what happens, it doesn't. Paradox may still happen, but it won't affect your spell pool. So at least you can cast normally, and then your spell might go a little awry. So that is definitely one of those fun things to get into. If like, okay, I don't have any mana. I'm just gonna have to roll this, and I'm gonna take a couple points of bashing damage, maybe, and to keep things under control. But
and then Songbird causes it to heal 3 seconds later.
Right. Well, except not. Because they're resistant. So, well, I guess that's true. You're increasing the natural healing. So, that one would work. Yeah, no walking over and laying on hands, though. So,
nope.
Very important question. What are your beard routines? Beard oil conditioners? I think we can all acknowledge that I have the wimpiest beard of us, which is fine because I have better hair than anybody. I
mean,
that's debatable.
But yeah, thank you for that. We're not actually going to answer it. I just giggled at seeing that. But as a follow-up, if you had to sum up your character in a word, what would it be?
I've been thinking about this question all week. Literally this one right here. Driven.
If you say it, I'm going to throw something at you.
It's very hard. Inquisitive, I would say.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to say lucky.
No.
Yeah, I was too. I was like, I'm going to throw something at him. Throw something all the way up to Canada from Texas. Songbird could do it. That and inquisitive, like that's the mage thing, man. Like, it's inquisitive and obsessed. These are the things that they care about. And so I'm very curious to see where that goes. Had another question here. If you're mute, can you use high speech? I left this one in here. I thought about removing it because I was like, I'm going to say something, guys. Yes, because who cares? A, it's high speech, and B, it's a tabletop game. Like, who cares about disabilities? Get through them one way or another. It's one of the things. I both like and dislike that. Like, oh, you became a werewolf. Okay. All your senses are restored to you, all your limbs are restored to you, and I'm like, that's a cool fantasy, but at the same time, getting past, like, tell me right now that a blind, like, sage werewolf is not metal as hell.
The raddest fucking thing ever. Yeah, for sure.
It's like, I can see spirits. That's all, and that's all they can see.
And that motherfucker is Cahalith as fuck.
Yeah.
And who says high speech has to be spoken? Like, high speech is basically the symbols of things to convey a meaning.
Yeah.
It's a language spoken to convey that.
Right. And the book does mention that you have to intone and that there's a specific language. But yeah, I'm like, I'll be honest, 90% of mage is you actually like intention. So it's like, speak it as well as you can, good enough.
Yeah.
Or
You
maybe
know.
your mage,
hell,
if their
fucking
mute has the
Microsoft
symbols,
Sam that shit.
yeah, or have the symbols appear in the air, hovering in front of them or something, as like their way of intoning
because
it or something
it's
like.
very obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or making, and like, I'll be honest, if you're mute, dude, high speech as sign
High
language.
speech as American Sign Language?
Yeah.
Fuck yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Here
It's
for
like,
that.
how do your fingers bend like that? Doesn't matter. It's high speech, yo.
Mhm.
Which
all good.
I think actually is probably a good way to do that. Like in terms of, in the same way that high speech is supposed to sound like gibberish.
Mhm.
If somebody's doing sign language and it comes on and it's high speech and somebody goes, hang on, that's not a normal ASL symbol. Also, where did you get your sixth?
Why does my brain itch?
Right, and your the sixth and seventh fingers come from? I don't know how you what. So, and this I love this question because it's such a non-meta. Well, it's a super meta one. But what do you guys think mages need to do in order to free sleepers from the curse and help as many people awaken as possible that ends well for everyone involved?
Okay, so
Oh,
maybe I
God.
should go last on this one.
What do I think, or what does Songbird think? Because I don't think Songbird gives a fuck.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be like players, because I mean none of your characters know anywhere near
Yeah.
enough.
Not even close. I mean, most of the mages, I mean, we already talked about the Matrix references a bunch. Like, that is kind of the general thing, is that, the general fluff lore, as I understand it, is there was a time where everything was magic and the abyss happened and it's bad.
Yep.
And it causes the lie. So, I mean, outside of getting a shovel and just filling up the abyss,
Which the abyss is full of other stuff, man.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I don't know if it is possible. I mean, I'm sure you could run a game where it is possible. I don't know if it's at all inherently the sort of power level thing that we're ever going to get to in this game.
Yeah, probably not.
And I don't know that an 8 Arcana Master or 9 Arcana Master or whatever, however fucking many of them there are.
Yeah, it goes up to 10 for the Arch Mastery. Yeah.
Yeah. And I meant the different Arcana, like being a master in all of them.
Oh, yeah, 8.
Yeah, I don't think all 8 of them, like being 5 dots and all 8 of them would be. No, it's 9,
10.
isn't it?
It's 10. It's got to be 10. There's 5 paths with 2 ruling Arcana each. Yeah, 10.
Right.
My bad.
I don't even think having 5 dot and all 10 of them would get close to being able to do anything like that.
Because you gotta like to start doing some because
I mean, even at that, you might be able to create a soul.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah. But that's exactly it, because you get into Arch Mastery, which is Gnosis 6+ technically, but you get into the
6, 7, 8 dots of an Arcana and stuff like
right
that.
all the way up to 10, and once you have 10, then you can pull off an Imperial spell, which changes the the fabric of reality fundamentally, and that's just one little thing. So that's you adjusting the lie one way, like no, you gotta get a big old group of folks together to do something wacky. What were you thinking, Craig? Oh, did Craig freeze?
Things froze, but I'm good now.
Okay, he's back. Yeah, what do you think? What do you think is the answer to getting rid of the curse and bringing back Atlantis? Just to annoy those who are on Discord.
I'm going to answer as weird, and that's a hard no. We don't want people to awaken because power is dangerous, and power in the wrong hands is a really bad idea. And there's some internal philosophies for the Guardians that like Weird doesn't necessarily buy into, but she's taken on the aspect of like awakening is not a good thing. That's not something you want to share with everybody. And in her case, like she knows personally, it's extremely traumatic, and not a lot of people are going to come through that with their minds intact. So it's not something you want to encourage necessarily. But for the ones that do, you want to grab those and make sure that they're weeded out safely and stuff. But it's not something she would want to see brought to everybody.
Yeah.
That kind of ties in back earlier when we were talking about you plotting out your labyrinth. Because like this is the first game I've played in as a player, and I think we
figured out like 6 or 7 years.
Mhm.
Like I am perma DM almost always, and so a lot of my like reactions to what other players are doing are like, I get, for a moment I'm like in that DM headspace where I'm like, oh, okay, you're recruiting people, you're gonna have a mystery cult, you're gonna have cause someone to awaken through this, and like, how do I fuck with you the most?
Yep.
With this.
Oh yeah. No, don't worry. We're like weird. Doing the labyrinth is going to be some good fun. That's going to cause some trouble for the whole cabal. Because I mean, of course it is, right?
Of course.
So the answer, by the way, for those of you keeping track in my universe, at least, what do you need to do? You have to unseat the exarchs, because they're the ones who implemented the lie. How do you unseat the exarchs? Well, you need to ascend and get up there and songbird them to the face. So good luck with that.
Sure you can.
Yep. You need to ascend, not Archmage, because that's like everyone. Ooh, Archmage. I'm like, no. You got to actually ascend. Good luck with that. There's 4 that are like known because they left behind bodies or symbols of them. There's like a crystal throne made out of a person. That's one person who awakened, and like, yeah.
What are those things called again? Starts with the S. The thing, that whole paragraph or that whole section is super, super metal.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, I can't
It's
even
just a raw task form of like the remnant of your soul that you leave behind. It's like, yep, okay, I'm here for this.
Yep. Is that going to happen? Probably not in our game. Though I have been tempted. There's one of those like, hey, somebody can't play the game anymore. Okay, cool. So their character ascends and just watches everybody else go, what?
Wait, what?
How did they ascend? Well, they just had that momentary crossing of neurons, and all of a sudden, I get it, and they're gone. I was like,
later.
Yeah, easy way to write out the and that will absolutely throw the rest of the cabal under the bus, because they know everybody's going to be after them.
Yep.
Because everybody is going to be trying to figure out, what did they know? I don't know what they knew. If I knew, I would ascend. So
I'm breaking up a bit.
Oh, that's just me being probably high pitched. And then continuing.
All of this sort of ties into the next question.
Oh yeah, who do you all believe will be the first of the cabal to meet a bad end?
If it's not Songbird, I'm going to be fucking disappointed.
Really?
Really?
Yep.
I mean, bad luck is going to catch up to Weird eventually. Yeah, right?
That's what I figure.
Yeah. I'm not out to kill Weird. Don't worry. I know a lot of you, Weird is your favorite. Don't worry. But
look, everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah.
You still have time to come around to Songbird being your favorite.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just one of those things. And that said, it's going to be very, very hard to kill Weird if I were actually out to get Weird, because, and this is where you get into that whole like, well, DM says rocks fall and everybody dies, and Weird goes, am I still alive?
Shifting sands.
Shifting sands. I'm back one scene, and I'm not going in there where the rocks fell. Fine.
The ability to rewind and play a scene over again, that's going to be powerful.
Yeah. Spend a couple extra reach, go back several scenes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I think the whole game session we just recorded never happened.
Yeah.
Never happened. I mean, my answer, my point of view comes from like, it is Songbird's literal job to protect this cabal. And
first one in the door, last one out. Yeah.
Yeah. If I think especially if Atratus died, I think that would wreck Songbird for sure. Because like he definitely, I think we haven't really super gotten into it. And again, it's only been a few days, but
4 days. Well, 5 now, I think.
But like in getting to know even just a little bit about her, and like knowing she's got this like tragic backstory .tm, like, yeah, protect the ghost girl.
Yep. The Ghost Whisperer girl. She's had a hard time so far. Yeah.
Her brother's kind of a dick though.
Oh, I love Gabe. And she wrote him, and like I was like, you know what this means I can do? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. It's like all of this stuff I've been playing literally to what the characters that she wrote. Like, so don't ever get mad at me. She wrote him. What's the Jessica Rabbit? I was just drawn bad, or
Yeah.
Continuing on, is time travel something you are for or against as a storyteller? Go for it. time has a way of flexing back and trying to make certain things happen. And time travel, at least in my head, is one of those things that the Guardians and other Occultists keep an eye out for. And so as soon as somebody starts messing with it, they're like, okay, why did you do that? Do you have actual reason to do that? Maybe you should have just dealt with those consequences and, sucked it up. So yeah. But that said, yeah, it like to not have time travel, like at that point, I really should have said, no, Craig, you cannot play an Occultist.
Right.
Because you can do time travel at 3 dots. So it's not now. You can't do real time travel until 5. You can only just rewind what's going on with 3, but
right. But that's on the same kind of par. Like a 3-dot forces can vaporize a building.
Yep.
The concrete into building. Like
That's
it's on the same sort of
yeah.
or matter. Pardon me. So it's on the same kind of power level.
Yep. Yeah, well, it's just, and that for me, that's the big thing is like you don't get to actual time travel until 5 dots. But once you're at 5 dots, literally life mages go, I snap my finger and that person ceases to be alive. Or, I think Forces is the one that says, I remove all the electricity out of that object, out of that person. Their neurons stop firing. They fall over dead.
Not even. Yeah, you can do so much worse shit than that.
Oh yeah,
Forces 5. I think it's what is it? Destroy energy or something like that. It's just a gross spell.
Yeah, I think that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah. Yeah. So like once,
like you can say, hey, I destroy the heat of their blood.
Yep.
So their core body temperature drops 30 degrees in a second, and they just fall over.
Yep.
Like it's very.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
well, and that's
squicky for sure.
It's and they mention it in the book, like, and I turned them into a frog. There's a little sidebar about it, and it's like, yes, there's a lot of ways mages can just undo somebody, and perhaps permanently. Some of the stuff is lasting, like damage spells. Some of the stuff might have it can be counterspelled eventually. But I'll be honest, I turn a werewolf into a frog, and then I step on the frog.
But I mean, once you get up to that point, you can just attack their pattern directly.
Well,
you don't even have to be subtle about it. You can just rip them to shreds metaphysically.
Right. Well, and that's where because the book specifically mentions, yes, you can do all these things, but it's withstood by their stamina. And the idea is, well, damage spells don't have withstand. Well, yes, they're just being withstood by their health pool, which is their stamina, effectively. So it's all in there. Yeah,
I had not thought to think of it like that before, but that makes sense.
Yeah, it brought up, and I was like,
essentially, as a spell, I'm trying to kill this person, and it's withstood by their
health pool.
Yeah, stamina plus.
And
I was like, okay,
I like that.
Yep. We've already answered this one. What do I think of Mage the Ascension as opposed to Mage the Awakening?
Rewind. Watch the whole video again.
Go back. Shifting Sands. That was an earlier one. So. That's all those questions. I didn't have anything else planned to chat about, but open to discussion. But how are you guys? Are you guys enjoying the game?
Us or the viewers?
Yes,
I totally am.
Yes.
Yeah,
I've been loving it.
Yeah, this has probably been one of the most fun games I've had. I can't tell if it's because of the fact that it's not D&D. Because and guys, let me be clear. Yeah, I am a huge fan of D&D. I love D&D, but it has a very specific place, and it's on the far wrong end of role play for me. If it has the
same thing, but for Pathfinder for me, for sure.
It has the opportunities. It can do it. Go watch Critical Role. Tons of role play, but the combat is just not there in those games. Like all the combat is these big set pieces, which D&D doesn't handle very well because you get quadratic wizards and linear fighters. So I play Mage, where
you've got quadratic songbirds and
everything is exponential.
Yeah, and everybody is a wizard, which I can't remember who I was telling that to, I think it was my buddy Kiko, and I was saying, hey, would you want to play this game? And it's called Mage, and I'm like, well, what is it? I'm like, okay, it's like D&D, but everybody's like starts as a 6th level wizard, like, and just immediately can just do all sorts of stuff. But the game is interesting, and it's less horror based than a lot of the other World of Darkness. Well, and we're gonna get into it soon. Is where you start to get into these people have a lot of power, and what can they use it for, and like how separate from humanity, do they get? Because we literally already have 2 characters who say, I don't care about sleepers.
Fuck being a human.
I don't care about being part of sleeper society. We already have 2 characters that do that. Neither of them are malicious yet. But I think Ash is a big fan of pointing out she has 3 dots in death, which is a very, very evil arcana. Some of the powers that they have, including I can rip out souls at 3 dots, and she's like, "Is there a non-evil use for this?" And the answer is, not really. I think Craig brought up, well, you can hang on to it. For somebody, like if you're, worried that somebody's after their soul, you can hang on to their soul for them. I'm like, sort of, kind of, yeah.
It's still going to be a really shitty thing to do.
Points for trying.
Yeah.
But it might be
really bad.
It might be better than the alternative, right?
Yep.
I know this kind of loops back to like, what spells are we excited for? What magic are we excited for? Songbird wants to go into his own soul.
Yeah.
I know various members of the Cabal have totally disparate feelings on this. Let's go ahead and talk about Ash some more while she's not here.
Right.
Like,
well, and
Emily Miller's soul is not being explored if there's anything to do with it.
Yeah, and of course, which as a DM, I believe I said the storyteller will remember this because we're gonna go there, and especially like. And you guys have a Mastigos. You have a Mind Mage. So getting into people's souls, digging around in the astral realms, which is kind of an extension of going into your own soul, that kind of stuff is like that. That is the mage-only territory. Underworld, you share that with Geists. The Shadow and Twilight and stuff like that, you share with werewolves, Geists, and I guess it's just those 2. Changelings get into the Dream, which is kind of the astral realm, but not really. It's actually more shared with Beast, who actually literally travels around to dreams. But the astral realm by itself is a mage only place, and they can do some serious damage. I think I mentioned it way back in session 0, but yeah, the astral realm. You can go to the collective consciousness of humanity and go find, I don't know, Game of Thrones. And decide, hey, I'm so tired of hearing everybody talk about Game of Thrones, and go find the Goetia that represents Game of Thrones, which is probably a nasty big Goetia, like rank 5, and kill it. And the human consciousness, everybody will just kind of go meh and very quickly forget about Game of Thrones. Now, of course, at this point, season 8
so
is
what
done.
You're telling me is the Berenstain Bears versus the Berenstain Bears.
You could go
is
resolve
the fault
that.
of a fucking wizard.
Yeah, you could go resolve that. Yeah. And they also have the far, far shores. I cannot remember what the term of it is, but it's literally the edge of the astral realms, and you get to the abyss, and you are at the edge, you cross this threshold, and you are in nothing. You are in the abyss. Not the actual weird stuff.
You don't come back.
Well, yeah. Well, it literally the description is you can take things there and throw them out, and they will never come back. They will never be recovered. It's the only way to destroy artifacts. It's one of the ways to ensure that a soul is destroyed, because artifacts are supernal things, right? They're objects from the supernal, and so they're really resilient, and they could be returned to the supernal realms or come back. It's like, oh, you destroyed it, cool. It reappears in the supernal and then comes back. I want to get rid of this thing forever. Cool, go throw it in this thing. The only other place that's as useful is the sea in the Underworld. But yeah, you could take somebody's soul, throw that out there and destroy it, which would send Guardians into a tizzy, because they have a whole diamond wheel reincarnation thing. But if you wanted to like undo somebody or some concept, so you go find out in the astral realms, you find, the idea of, whatever, and you go into somebody and find their lust, yank it out, haul it out to the astral realms and throw it out. Man, they are celibate as a rock, and just they don't care anymore, and that's some crazy stuff that mages have access to. Then let's see what else we've got. That we're definitely going to be visiting. Go ahead.
I want to talk about something that everyone refuses to keep bringing it up in game, but they keep needling me at it. And you and I have had to talk about this, and that's how shifting the odds works.
Yep. Because
there's sort of a background around that has a negative connotation, and I don't think that that's accurate. So I use shifting the odds to get access to resources. That basically gives me a dot in resources that I can use for whatever I want, cell phones or cash or new clothes or a car or whatever. And it's been characterized in the out of character side of things as like I'm stealing stuff. So I'm casting shifting the odds and I'm making someone drop a wad of cash on the ground. But that's not how it works in my head anyway. And I think Drew kind of agrees with me after a bit of a discussion that people are dropping things all the time. Somebody's got a burner phone and they decide, well, this is time to leave the burner phone. They throw it into a garbage bin. And then the garbage man comes along and they're a little bit sloppy with a container and the phone falls out and lies on the ground. And I walk by and I pick it up. Yep. Is that stealing? If you're sitting in an outdoor cafe and as you put your coffee cup down, $100 bill blows under your cup and you happen to pin it, is that stealing? You look around, you have no idea who it belongs to. Like, are you going to return it? It's not that I'm causing people to lose stuff. It's that I'm making sure that I end up being in a position.
The person who finds the lost stuff.
Right. I'm in a position to pick up the stuff that they lost.
And one of the big things, and this is on my part and Craig's part, is that when you get the resources dot, that doesn't necessarily mean you have cash, because cash is an item that you get. So resources may literally be somebody, especially for clothes, that's literally the idea that, Weird could actually walk into a place looking in her normal hobo chic and somebody goes, oh, hey, I have this, a bunch of extra small clothes, that are not, selling. You want, do you want these? And, so that is when you're getting the resources merit, that is literally what you're getting is,
Mm-hmm. Right. So the example I was doing about clothes was like I'm walking through the garment district, mm-hmm. and this rack full of clothes comes screaming down the street. Somebody's lost control of it, and I happen to catch it. Oh, look, There's some clothes. I don't see anyone coming after change it. Why not? Like that's that kind of thing. It's not necessarily cash. It's just whatever you're looking for in some way to get it.
Right. And even that example is, people could, oh, well, you're still stealing it. It's just, but and that's where it kind of ends up on the storyteller side. I have to be a little bit better about being clear about, what they're getting and stuff like that. And for me, the whole point of needling about resources is y'all have some order status. Y'all have a little bit of resources available to you. The order will provide things if needed. And so if you're not willing to put the one dot into resources so you can buy some clothes, you at least have the one dot in order status so you can get it. And that's one of the things I'm really excited about for Signs of Sorcery, because they talk about what stuff conciliums and orders will give.
Just some time for me to have 2 or 3 dots of status.
Yep. And they've got stuff about the perfected materials. They have some very, very interesting stuff that they're talking about. I haven't even brought it up in our normal Discord chat because it's some really cool stuff, like finding a place where the thorns of Arcadia kind of feed through Yeah, that's one of their examples, and I was like, "Oh, good lord, Craig is going to be useless."
I am
But
all
no,
over that.
yeah, no, it's but all they apparently they have ideas for all of these things, and including you can find the iron seals of the exarchs, and then you can use that in your casting, and then you keep doing that, and all of a sudden the iron seal appears in your soul and stuff, and through that opens up a gateway to an exarch, and that's how you become a prelate of an exarch. And I'm like, that is so messed up and so cool. So yeah, very curious, like some of the sides.
No.
Yeah. That said, I mean, from what I've seen on Discord, apparently seers have a lot more fun than we do. Because they're just like, yeah, we're just going to do this, oppress people. Yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah, as long as I'm not killing a bunch of sleepers, nobody really cares. My bosses won't mind. Yeah, they go hog wild in some of the other chats and forum stuff I've seen. I'm like, man, y'all suck.
Yeah, and some of the short stories from the anthology are just like seers are assholes.
The one seer short story that I read, because I can't remember if I finished actually reading it, but the one seer one was like, oh yeah, you need to do this. You need to do this to prove yourself. I'm like, I don't want to play a seer campaign. That's not my thing.
Yeah, it would be dark as hell.
Yep.
Well, it's like in Mage the Ascension, a little bit that I've played. It's like anytime the technocracy showed up, it's like, nope, no, please, nope.
No, they're and I appreciate the idea of seers. In terms, like I said, I always end up playing a lawful evil character, but even seers for me, I'm like, yeah, there's just a little bit too much abuse. Like, I like being the lawful evil guy in the good campaign because I like being Darth Vader as he picks up Emperor Palpatine. Like, I like being the guy who's dark and spooky and creepy, and you go, he's on our side! He's on our side!
Thank God he's on our side.
Right, exactly. It's totally the reason I love the end of Rogue One, when Darth Vader you get to see, it's like, see, Darth Vader is super scary and super powerful, and woohoo, look at him, which makes zip over here to Return of the Jedi, and all of a sudden, Vader's on our side, and, for all of 30 seconds, and then he dies, but
spoilers,
right?
Come on, 30 years. There's got to be a time limit on it.
So, more recent, more spoilers. Last Jedi, when Kylo and Rey fight together, that was like I was and then I was on board for this, and then there was like, come with me and we'll do the Sith Empire thing. I'm like, oh no, Kylo, I thought you were gonna join up and we were gonna do Great Jedi. And
I'm closer.
Yeah, well, that Discord is just gonna be crappy that way. But yeah, sure, I guess I can actually sit forward and actually at my desk. But yeah, so the seers, though, they're all like, literally every ministry is oppression by this thing, oppression by that thing. Oppression by violence, by surveillance.
By nationalism.
Mm.
No.
Yeah.
No, please. We have enough of that. I don't need it to be magic too.
That's a little true to reality.
On the nose today.
Yeah. And I mean, we got our Predator Kings for our Nazi werewolves, but yeah, no, and I'll admit, it's one of the advantages of running in World of Darkness. We have this whole, contemporary setting, so I can introduce types of people that I don't like, and because I know who is playing in this cabal, and so Jimmy Smalls walks up, and I'm like, it's cool. I will introduce Jimmy Smalls, who, by the way, that's all Chris's fault. Chris invented Jimmy Smalls. I just kind of ran with it.
You did,
and and because I knew, like, if I walk up, Jimmy Smalls is going to walk up and call weird toots, and I was like, and I'm just going to sit back and watch what happens.
Especially with my new Vice. That'll be an interesting day.
Oh yeah, well, and like Ashley, has Atreides met Jimmy Smalls? I'm like, not yet, but I don't know how well Jimmy Smalls will survive the encounter. So I don't think I don't think Atreides would lash out necessarily, but Gabe is always nearby. And I'm like, and so you guys open the newspaper, and Jimmy Smalls' apartment burned down.
Oh fuck!
Right, and story idea. But but that's the kind of thing, so we can do stuff like that. And yeah, we can throw in some crazy, nationalist seers and be like, okay, well, we're going to kick their asses. And I get to enjoy a little catharsis. I get to play a bad guy knowing that, and I'm just going to sit back and let them get their ass kicked. But that's why I like, there are some seers that are, less assholey, still bad guys. And then you have stuff like Banishers and Scelesti, who are really nasty. You worship the Abyss and want to bring the Abyss in.
Nope. Please no.
Yeah. Well, it's because when, hey, I have magic and it doesn't allow me to do certain things. Like I want to bring somebody back from the dead. Well, magic can't do that, but Paradox and the Abyss can. So I'm going to use that. And yes, I've brought my wife, back to life. Yay, look, she's so lovely. She loves me. She also drinks the blood of newborn children, but hey. Right. And so that's, and that's what you get.
That's modern problems require modern solutions.
Right. And so you get some really like the Scelesti or, and they're not necessarily the mad, right? They're not like people with necessarily low wisdom. They just think, oh no, it's cool. I'm just going to use the Abyss. I had total control over this. This is just fine. And they don't,
This is not fine.
Right. So that is some of the stuff I'm looking forward to after the werewolf stuff. Because I didn't actually think you guys were going to jump in. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to set you guys up so you can spy and help out the wolves. And you guys, we're going to go fight werewolves. And I'm going, okay, we're going to go fight werewolves, guys.
I mean, you had to know at least I was going to vote for that.
Well, because my thought was you guys were going to be like, we're not getting involved. And that's why I kind of introduced this whole idea of like, oh, take down the alpha. Because you guys getting into a big fight with a whole pack.
No.
Yeah.
No, us being in the melee would be terrible.
Right.
It would, yeah.
So I was like, we're gonna take.
I might sit on the sidelines with some popcorn and watch and just be like, all right,
Yep. So I'm very, very looking forward to episode 19 because as of recording this, I have a little bit prepped. I have some stuff that there's no way the Cabal could have planned for it, right? Because of course no plan of mice and men survives contact with the enemy. Yes, I butchered that. I know. But
everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yep, also that one. Yeah, because mages can't plan for everything. So obviously, but
especially if they don't have fucking spirit.
Yes.
Yeah. Predator kings hang out with wolf spirits.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's not gonna good.
So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm really excited.
Earlier question about someone dying.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm very curious to see where we'll go with that because I've done a little prep. I know what's going on. I don't know where you guys are gonna engage in a fight. Because engaging in a magic fight in a park in New York, that's gonna have a lot of paradox.
Potentially.
So, yeah. So it's all going to kind of depend on where you guys decide to, take this fight, where the werewolf's going to take the fight. Because Logan is all about this, and Alicia's going to back him up. But this is Logan. Logan wants this to be his fight, so unfortunately, he's got you guys to help bail him out. If nothing else, reverse gravity and run away. But yeah, I'm very psyched to see where that goes.
I'm like halfway expecting us to like piss off Logan by doing like overstepping our bounds and like not letting him do enough, and so like we'll achieve our goals of killing this alpha, but probably piss him off.
Yeah,
and, like,
I have
complicate the relationship for sure.
I have a couple different colored Mass Effect style endings of like, okay, well, it could end like this, it could end like this, it could end up like this, and of course, there's going to be like the 5th and 6th ending that you guys come up with, and I'm like, I didn't prep for that, so I don't know how we're going to do this, but that's one of the reasons.
That's when you just take a long drink of water.
Was that correct?
I figure if we don't take him down really quick, then it's like we have to escape because we're not going to last long in that fight. If we don't take him down really quickly, then somebody's dying for sure.
Yep. Yeah, and I like, and that was one of the things. Is like, okay, yeah, I mentioned a bunch of marks, And, you guys, okay, what's that mean? Well, he's got a lot of things he can do. Okay. And, they're not magic, so there's no counterspelling these things, So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I'm very curious to see how you guys go about this. It's the same reason why I like Shadowrun, because like D&D, you can go and do a fight and everybody's going to be kind of like, you're going to be fighting on the same level. You're going to be fighting in the same area. But Shadowrun throws that all for a loop when it's like, okay, well, somebody's going to be doing magic stuff in the astral realm. Another guy's going to be hacking. And then these three are going to be in meat space actually shooting guns. And it's just like, there's so many different ways you can do things.
Meat space, please.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So I'm very curious to see.
See earlier comment about always playing a barbarian.
Right. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how you guys are doing this, and especially because I realized I should probably throw more combat, because I was like, I've gotten it out of my system. Okay, I want a lot of role play and a lot of investigation. I got that out of my system. Now I'm like, okay, what kind of things can they pick fights with now? Now that I have a better idea of what you guys can do. So, by my watch, we're approaching about 2 hours. Yeah, so I think we will wrap it up here. Any last closing thoughts or comments? I was reading through the questions to see if there's anything I wanted to backtrack to.
Just talking about the RP and stuff, like we were talking about it in the private Discord, like how quickly everybody has become fully invested in their characters.
Yeah.
Like we're playing these characters as if we've been playing them for years, kind of the feeling and the close.
I think we made that comment after the second session.
Yeah.
Like episodes 3 and 4, we're like, wait,
why do I care so much about this character?
Exactly. It's like I've been playing this character for 15 years and I'm so invested. It was crazy.
Yeah. And I definitely feel like that is one of the bonuses to playing in a contemporary society setting, because you can go, I know exactly, like I've seen books, I've seen TV shows, I've seen movies, I know what this kind of character is. So you can fit into those tropes. We don't have quite the same feeling for fantasy medieval characters because, well, I'm going to play a hero. Like nobody plays a blacksmith turned fighter. Except for my buddy Perry. But it's not a blacksmith, right? Trying to make his way in the world. He's a fighter. He just used to be a blacksmith, as opposed to Atratus, who is a college student who's now been thrown in, and she can talk to ghosts and do weird magic stuff. And Weird, who was a blah, 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 and is now, a witch, Mammon, who, runs a penetration company. Still doesn't have a name, by the way. So if you guys have any brilliant names, please put them in the comments, because I still haven't found the name that John gave me way back when. So.
The question that Smitty asked about what was the next COD game you would like to try.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really looking forward to reading Contagion Chronicles.
Yes. Yeah.
That sounds like a really, really cool way that they finally come up to, like, have a built-in reason to do crossover play.
Well, that was what the God Machine Chronicles was. What was basically the start of their second edition stuff, basically. But yeah, for those of you who aren't familiar, Contagion Chronicle is basically this idea that sometimes the world kind of breaks in weird ways, and humans are basically powerless and unaware to do anything about it. And so it is up to the supernatural weirdness of the night to kind of step in and go, hang on, we need to fix this. And some of that might be because, hi, I'm a vampire. These are my people that I eat. Please stop turning them into slugmen.
I can't eat slugmen.
Right. Or you're a werewolf going, hang on, this is messing with the boundaries between spirit and, humanity. Or I'm a mage and I want to study this. Oh, hang on, this is going bad places. I can't study this.
This is the abyss.
Right.
This is the abyss. Put it back, please.
Yeah. And it's got some very, very interesting stuff where it's like, oh yeah, you have certain powers as your group. I can't remember what they call them. And the whole idea is, okay, this group has unlocked this special power, and it does this. Also, if you're a mage, it does this. If you're a vampire, it does this. And so, like I know there's one, it's like being able to hack into surveillance networking kind of equipment. And the mage version is like, it's the mages, hunters, and like geists, I think, or I can't remember. And they're like, oh yeah, you're like, you connect with humanity, and so you have some extra bonuses. But oh no, geist and vampire, hey, you're dead. So when you use this power, you can even use it on stuff that's turned off because it's a dead system.
Oh.
And so and I'm just like,
That's fun.
okay, sure. So yeah, it's got a lot of crossover potential. I backed it and I was like, yep, go ahead. Here's my $20. Because I want to see crossover powers. That's why Beast is super exciting to me, because it's all about that kind of crossover stuff. So
other than that, I think the only thing I wanted to talk about other than that is that, you know, it was just the two of us tonight. And I know Mammon or John and Ash are just as happy to talk about some of these questions. So if you liked hearing us talk about ourselves and want to come and join us in Discord and see if they'll answer some of these questions as well and get the other half of the story, come and check us out and come hang out with us.
Yep.
You know, we've got, you know, a good amount of people in there now. They're like, I was talking to a coworker the other day about how, you know, we don't have to respond to every message now. Like, conversations are just happening, and that's very cool.
Yeah, we had some crazy discussion. Oh, well, real quick here. Oh, hang on. Let's see here. Okay, let me go OBS. That way I'm not showing everybody everything. I'm gonna hide that. There we go. Okay, so John just messaged me and he's like, hey, by the way, oh crap, hang on. That's a sound file. What is this? Cancel. Okay, so John apparently recorded some QA stuff. So I'm a dig into that, and we'll see. We might have a special podcasty thing that we might do to have John answer some of the questions, because he was messaging me because he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go do stuff with my wife on Friday night because she realized we're not playing, so she hijacked me. I was like, okay, cool, that's fine, we'll see you. He's like, but I really want to answer some questions. I was like, sure, just hit me up with a list of your answers. And he didn't get them to me just now. Oh no, because he recorded his answers. So
That's fun.
Actually, you know what? That's going to be on Patreon. I'm 90% sure. Let's just walk over here to patreon.com/occultist anonymous. Post. I'm 90% sure. Come on. New post. I'm pretty sure I can post a image, video, audio. So yeah, after you're finished with this, go by Patreon and check out the Q&A from John and see what he had to say. I'm going to edit it or take a look at it first. Yeah, I will mention that right now. That'll be on Patreon. I don't know how long it is because I don't think this thing tells me how long it is. It doesn't. But yeah, I'll have that up on Patreon after I go through and edit it real quick and check sound levels and volume and clean up anything that I can. That way it's not rough to listen to, because yeah, you guys get the good side, right? That's after I've edited everything and everybody sounds great. Cut those coughs out.
Have we thanked our patrons?
No, we sure haven't. We actually started the episode. We didn't even do that. So yeah, speaking of Patreon, guys, first off, come follow the Patreon so you can keep up with the cool little content we do. But thank you very specifically to our actual patrons, those who have decided to join us and give a little bit of money, which, by the way, we now do have a $1 tier. So if you're strapped for cash and you just want to show us, hey, I care enough to give you my $1 a month, I'll be honest, that, like, to me, I get choked up at the idea that somebody's like, hey, I want to give you money. Like we got, I think we do have 6 patrons right now. Oh my gosh, system. Because I want to make sure I'm using everybody's preferred names. But yeah, we have Claire, Noba, Ryan, Samuel, Schmitty, and Thomas, who all are actually willing to give us money. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, and like, I'll admit it, guys, I kind of laughed when Critical Role did this, and they were like, "Oh, we just love our supporters, and it gets us choked up and emotional." Holy crap, it's real!
It's real.
It's really
Like every time Lana like screenshots like, oh hey, we've got a new patron. I'm like, I literally like walk through my whole day and I'm like talking to all my coworkers and stuff. I'm like, someone enjoys the things that we do enough to pay us for it.
Yeah, we are not
Which
professional
is-
voice actors. We're not
Like-
professional anything. Well, I guess technically we are now professional tabletop
Yeah.
RPG players. We have been given money to do this.
I don't know if I'm comfortable with that label.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like I was joking with my boss about it the other day. I was like, I've never been paid to do something I enjoy before. I mean, besides work here, of
Right,
course.
I love this show. Please don't fire me. But yeah, but yes, those 6 patrons, and we've got a couple others. I can see them on here. I'm trying to see here. What is this status? It doesn't show. I have followers, so you can follow our Patreon and see some of our content. We've already got the
Got
first
kind of delayed release structure going on, right?
Yes,
For that kind of
which
stuff?
reminds me, published because we have Weird's first journal, which Craig made way back on March 27th. So very shortly after we started. I posted that up on the 19th. So that's been available to patrons, and it will become available to the public on the 31st. At which point I will post the next one to patrons, and they will have that to enjoy and rinse release. Rinse release? Rinse repeat. I clearly need more caffeine. So that kind of stuff is on there. We also have our art, our sketches. Those are available to the patrons. I'm still waiting to hear back from our artist to make sure he's okay with me putting them out completely to the public, because I was like, I want to double check that our artist is okay with us showing works in progress, because I know some artists are like, please don't anybody see these. I realized I probably should have asked that first, so I'm hoping I don't get an angry email, how dare you show those off. I will be very, very sad. But those kind of things are they're on Patreon. And like I said, we're going to do the QA audio from Mammon. We're going to post the, I think, photo guide to New York, I think is Chris's idea. So Songbird himself is going to go visit some things and take some selfies, and go visit some of the places that we've seen in game and see what they look like in real life. Maybe we can convince him to go to Jersey City to no,
Not happening.
okay,
Absolutely not.
because the Eben Dart is actually is an actual place. It's not called the Eben Dart, and then the cemetery that the Phantasm Society hangs out, that's a real place too. We just got a cool website. That's how I found them. So that stuff will be on Patreon. Stuff like that we can't do as a video on YouTube. Until we create a website, maybe, because apparently that's possibly in discussion with Ashley and Amanda. So I don't know. They have interest in making a website. And I'm like, I'm doing a thing that requires a website. Well, it doesn't require a website, but it can use a website. So so very cool stuff. Again, thank you to our patrons. Thank you guys who have subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. It makes our channel look cooler, and therefore it shows to more people, and therefore we have more folks joining our community. And come join our community on Discord, because these crazy knuckleheads, have some great discussions. And I literally drove home and I was listening to pings as people got into a discussion about Atlantis. So we have opinionated folks. Everybody has been polite and wonderful, and I am going to go update the rules channel, because I want to be very clear. Y'all are welcome here. Don't be an ass. That's basically the only rule. The
Will Wheaton rule to internet interaction. Like, just don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. Yep.
Mhm.
Like I said, and of course there's the Twitter feed, which I basically only post images. I do retweet some interesting stuff that I see, stuff from Onyx Path or mage related stuff. So that there is that. If there are more of you who follow me on Twitter and start pinging me on Twitter, I might be more active. That's not a suggestion that you need to do. I'm just letting you know currently that's just what I use Twitter for. I'm a lurker on Twitter. So I watch and I retweet.
He's always watching.
Always watching. Just like Chad Boswick at Alamo Drafthouse. Sorry if you don't know what Alamo Drafthouse is. You live a dark, dark, sad life. Anyways,
True.
Other than that, I'm tapped. I'm out of stuff. I think we've rambled long enough.
I've answered all the questions
Yep.
that I could possibly answer.
I think most people will have checked out at this point. But hey, if you made it all the way here, thank you. We love you.
Thank you all very much.
And bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.
Stay
See
lucky.
you to hunt some werewolves next week.
See ya.